Make your next move with American Express Business Platinum. You'll get 5 times membership rewards points on flights and prepaid hotels booked on AmexTravel.com. Plus, enjoy access to the American Express Global Lounge Collection. And with the welcome offer of 150,000 points, your business can soar to all new heights. Terms apply. Learn more at americanexpress.com/business-platinum. Amex Business Platinum. Built for business by American Express.
Hello and welcome to the Paddock and the Pavilion. With me, your host, Stephen Wallace, for the second episode in our Women's Ashes Countdown series. Joining me for part 2 is the German all-rounder Tina Gough, a familiar voice and a regular guest on this podcast. Tina brings us up to speed with Germany's recent European tournament action in Malaga before turning her attention to the highly anticipated Women's Ashes. Hear Tina's thoughts on women's Test cricket, the players she believes will make the biggest impact over the 3 weeks of action, and whether she thinks England can regain the Ashes. Hello, Tina. Welcome back to the Paddock and the Pavilion.
Thank you for having me.
And today we're going to talk about the Women's Ashes, but we've got lots to catch up on before then, because you're currently in Melbourne and you've recently been playing for Germany in Malaga. You've been all over the world.
Yes, it's been a busy couple of weeks. I'm fitting Christmas in between as well. So I'm nicely on the road, but at some point I'll be happy to see my own house again, I think.
Let's just start with cricket, Germany cricket. You were playing in Malaga. What can you tell us about the tournament you were playing in?
Yeah, so we were playing in the European Cricket Network's ECCW, which is the kind of the Euros of cricket, and we were in the emerging division. So for the first time, they've split it into 2 divisions. So it's the emerging division, and then it's the challenger division. Emerging comes next year. So for now, it's 2 divisions: challenger and premier. Next year, it will be emerging, challenger, and premier. So 3 divisions. So it's constantly growing. And for the first time, then Germany were involved in Division 2. And it's the first time actually we've played T10, T10s of any kind. So it was a bit of a baptism of fire for us, because we played against other teams like Spain, who'd actually played quite a lot of T10s, as well as Jersey, who we've come up against quite a bit in T20s, as well as Czechia and Austria. So it was 5 in our division. We played a double round robin. And then the top 4 out of the 5 go to finals day, which is quite a cool setup, because it means there's always places to play for. And quite early on, it was clear that Czechia would probably finish 5th. So we were into the finals day, and then we beat Spain in the kind of semi-final, and then fell just short against Jersey in the final, which means Jersey now go through to the top division next year. So they have a promotion relegation system. And then Italy got relegated from the top division, so we'll be playing against Italy next year. So it's all a very exciting tournament. Next year will be even bigger and better, with 3 divisions, with promotions and relegations all the way through. So yeah, the Euros of cricket is definitely growing, and Germany, I think, is happy to be involved, and it was a good learning experience for us in T10s as well.
So these matches were all T10 matches?
Yeah, which is a newish format. I know there's quite a few T10 franchise leagues, especially for the men, around the world now. But it's a strange game, but it's actually quite fun, especially if you're a batter. You kind of go in with a lot of freedom. Probably not so much as a bowler, because you're often there just to get hit, because the boundaries are very short. It must be about 50-meter boundaries, bowling from one end on an AstroTurf. So it's quite unforgiving as a bowler, but as a batter, it was great fun.
That doesn't sound easy for a bowler on a matting wicket with short boundaries.
Yeah, it was not. I mean, it was fun for bowlers as well, and I bowled a few overs. And maybe because the batters are going for it as well, you do have the chance to pick up quite a few wickets. But the wickets themselves feel a bit cheaper, because all the batters are just going for it straight away. And that's what we said as a batting unit as well. We said, like, go in and just go for it. Because we play a lot of T20Is where there's a lot of pressure to stay in and build an innings. So it was good practice for us as a batting unit to just go in and try and hit and have some fun. So it was a nice kind of change of pace maybe from our T20 eyes.
And thanks to Sue Strachan, who is going to feature shortly on this podcast, she let me know that you scored a century in one of the games.
Yeah, it was actually the first game. So I probably shouldn't say this, but I hadn't picked up a cricket bat in about 4 months, maybe 3 months since September, and then hadn't had much training, if any. And then the first game managed to score a century. I think there was one century in the tournament last year, and I think I was the only century this year. So hopefully we get another one next year. Because it was a fun time to bat, and I think I was on 80 at the start of the last over, so I somehow sneaked in the century on the penultimate ball, I think. So yeah, that was fun.
And team-wise, I looked up the rankings at the moment. In the T20s, Germany ranked 44. Jersey are a lot higher than that, albeit this is a T10 competition. So Germany performed well.
Yeah, we did. And we're definitely looking to kind of use this T10 experience to go up the rankings for the T20s. And that's certainly going to be one of our aims for next year, because next year is a World Cup qualifier year as well. So we'll be playing a lot of the teams that we came up against in December. So definitely Spain, definitely Jersey. We'll be playing those in the World Cup qualifiers at the end of May. So it was good practice, and we'll see those familiar faces again. That'll be in Rome at the end of May. So that'll be the next big tournament for Germany.
There's worse places to go than Rome.
Yeah, I've never been. So I haven't been to Rome, and I've not played cricket in Italy. So it'll be a good one to tick off the list. And yeah, definitely better weather than we might have in Germany at that time of year.
And now you're in Melbourne. And before we talk about the Women's Ashes, which are coming up, you've been to a test match at the MCG, the test match which has had the highest ever crowd for a test match in history.
Yeah, and I contributed twice to that. So I went on day 4 yesterday. And I was only planning to go to day 4. And the way the test matches have been going recently, I thought when I got the tickets a couple of months ago, the day 4 might be quite ambitious, especially after the first day of the first test match where 19 wickets fell. I thought we might not even see day 4, but then we went yesterday, had a great time, and then we thought, well, it was only $10 to go for the final day, so we thought it'd be rude not to. So yeah, it was a great day of cricket. Lots of fans there. I couldn't believe. Well, I didn't know what it was like at the MCG, but apparently having an almost full MCG, I think there was 75,000 there today on a day 5 is quite unusual. But yeah, those who went were rewarded, and yeah, we went for the opening session, then had a bit of a sightseeing tour around Melbourne, and then got back just in time for the final 3 wickets. So we definitely got our $10 worth.
You certainly did. So you were there at the finish.
Yeah, we were there at the finish. So when we were going back into the stadium, there was quite a lot of Indian fans coming out. So I think they were maybe giving up hope at that point. But yeah, it was great to see at the end the final 3 wickets, and is the classic test match image of all 9 fielders plus the wicketkeeper around the bat. And I think only the bowler was basically anywhere near the other side of the pitch and the umpire. Everyone else was huddled round trying to take that final wicket. And then, yeah, it was quite fun when the final wicket was taken. Because until then, the sound was about 50-50 of Indian fans and Australian fans. But I think by the end, it was mostly Australian fans left. So they enjoyed that one.
Yeah, total crowd over the five days was 373,691. So you're 2 of them.
Yeah, exactly. And I think yesterday they'd even broken the record already for an MCG game. And that was before the final day. And I think the record that they broke was even against a test match that went 6 days long. So yeah, it shows how alive and well test cricket is, and I'm glad to see it as well, and it was definitely worth it to stay to the end today.
Well, keeping on the test match theme, England and Australia will be playing a test match on the 30th of January at the MCG. What are your thoughts on the actual series, starting with the 3 ODIs, 3 T20s, and then the test match?
Yeah, I'm really excited, and having seen the men's game now and the men's test match, I really hope the MCG gets similar crowds and the standard of cricket that will be on show. will definitely deserve the big crowds. So hopefully they'll get them in. I know the tickets are pretty reasonably priced as well. So hopefully it'll be a bit of a repeat of the World Cup final was it back in 2020 when the MCG was full. So I'm optimistic that they'll get the big crowds in, and I'm really looking forward to the whole series. I quite like this mixed format actually. I think it's nice having all three formats to try and see who the better team is. I think at some point maybe I know they have in the men's, they have kind of a few series as well of the shorter format, but I quite like it that the women's format for the Ashes is how it is. It's just a shame there's maybe only one test match. I think 2 or 3 would be better.
You certainly need some adaptable players to play these 3 different formats.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. I was looking at the squads earlier and how many players are playing across all 3 formats. Because obviously I think Grace Harris is only in for the shorter formats for Australia. And then is it Rhiannon McDonald-Gay is coming in for one of the formats for England. So those who are doing all 3 formats are going to have to be quite resilient because the games come thick and fast as well. I was quite surprised how little time there is in between, and you've got to account for a bit of travel time as well. So there's no rest for the players who are going to play across all 3 formats. So it could be quite a grueling series for them.
Yeah, the action starts on the 11th of January and the test match starts on the 30th of January. So it's all crammed into about 3 weeks.
Yeah, and Australia is not exactly a small country either. So then they have to go from Melbourne to Hobart to Sydney, Canberra. I mean, they're all tactically placed, but it'll be quite a different mindset shift as well to go from T20 to ODI. Was it ODI and then
ODI first? Yeah.
Yeah, ODI and then T20. So you go from a medium format to the shorter one, and then T20 to Test match is obviously quite a shift as well. So it'll be interesting to see, and I guess whichever team adapts the quickest is going to come out on top as well.
Well, England should be well prepared after their comprehensive series win in South Africa.
Yeah, and that included the Test match as well, didn't it? So it's not often, I think, that England have gone into the Ashes or into a Test match having had more or less a Test match in preparation. So hopefully that will put them in good stead. Some good performances there, and they're going to have to rely on their big performers like Nat Sciver-Brunt and Heather Knight obviously is captain to lead the way, because Australia have quite a formidable squad as well. So it's going to need some big performances from the England girls.
So who do you think are the key players in both sides?
Well, I think it's hard to look past Nat Sciver-Brunt for England. Just one of the, if not the best player in the world at the moment. So she's going to be extremely important. She'll be massive. Danny Wyatt-Hodge as well. I'm always a big fan of her. I've played in the same team as her, so I always look out for her results and that she goes well. And she's been banging. She's been in incredible form, especially in the shorter format. So I hope she goes well, and it'll be interesting to see what kind of lineup they go for, maybe in the ODIs and the T20s as well, because they've got a lot of batting power. They can't fit everyone in. They've got obviously Sophia Dunkley as well, and Tammy Beaumont, who's in great form. So there's a lot of good players in the England team. It's just about who clicks at the right time and what kind of lineup they put as well, especially for the Australian conditions, which of course are completely different to the English conditions. And then for Australia, obviously it'll be interesting with Alyssa Healy, whether she'll keep as well. There's talk that she might not keep. But as captain, she's going to be important with the bat. Beth Mooney as a keeper will be interesting as well if she does end up keeping. And then Australia's pace lineup is always pretty fearsome, especially in Australia. And Elise Perry, I mean, I know she's coming towards the end of her career now, but she's always someone who turns up in the big matches. So if she's on form, it's difficult to see how England can kind of break down that Australian lineup, both in terms of batting and bowling.
Because in short form games, one player can win a game, especially in the T20s.
Yeah, and that's the thing, because I think if I go kind of head to head, it feels like maybe Australia have a few more match winners in their side, but you never know, because England have enough players. Sophie Ecclestone, for example, she's won a lot of matches single-handedly almost for England. So it's about who steps up as a match winner, and that might decide it, especially in the shorter formats where it can all hinge on one innings or one over. So I'm hoping for tight games at least, because you always want in Ashes, whether it's men's or women's, that the games are tight. And especially with the format as it is, you want it going into the test match with still something to play for. So fingers crossed. In an ideal situation, everything will hinge on the test match, because I think that will make for an exciting 5 days.
Certainly better for the test match to be the last of the formats, because over here in 2023, even though the game was close, Australia were 4-0 up after one match.
Yeah, and that kind of, you want to build up towards the test match, I think, rather than the test match being the start and then everything afterwards kind of being a bit of the after show. So I think they've got it right with the format, with the test at the end. But let's hope that the games before then are maybe even enough. And England, I think their plan will just be make sure they're still in it, getting into the test match, and then it's all to play for. And then I think England's red ball team is as good as anyone's, especially with the practice they had against South Africa. And then I think they'd back themselves against Australia to try and nick it then.
And off air, you said you will be going to one of the Women's Ashes matches.
Yeah, so I'll be heading to the ODI in Melbourne. I think it's at the Junction Oval, and it's the second ODI. So that'll be just the second game of the Ashes. So one of the teams will be going into that, having won the first game and looking to keep the other team scoreless. So that'll be an interesting one. I think that's one of the ones that's I think all the ODIs are actually early starts, whereas a few of I think all the T20s are night starts, and of course the test match is a day-night test match as well. So it'll be interesting to see how they go in Melbourne. And it's at the smaller ground. So whereas the test match is at the MCG, the ODI is a smaller ground, which will be nice as well, because it'll be quite a small location and intimate with the players. So it'll be interesting to see how they adapt to the different conditions as well, to go from a smallish stadium to going to the MCG, and everything in between. So looking forward to that, and looking forward to seeing the Ashes live in person. And unfortunately, I would have loved to stay for the test match as well, but I've got to get back at home to Hamburg at some point. But I'll be following on in the middle of the night from the other side of the world.
2023 then, 8-all, putting your commentary hat on, because I know you did some commentary work in Malaga as well. What's your prediction on the Women's Ashes for 2025?
It's a tough one. I'm gonna go. Well, I want to be neutral, but also I'm always going to support England. So I think England are going to nick it on the test match. I think it'll be, what is it, 16 points to play for? So
16 points, that's right, yeah. The closest you can get is 10-6. You can either get 8-all or 10-6.
Yeah, that's the thing. That it's good that the test match is kind of heavily weighted, but it means that it could sway either way. But I'd happily go for a 10-6 to England. I'd take that. But I think Australia might have a thing or two to say about that.
Now you're hedging your bets there as a commentator, yeah.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, I've got to maintain some sense of neutrality.
Thank you very much, Tina, for staying up in Melbourne after an enjoyable day at the Australia-India Test match. And I won't hold you to your prediction of an England victory 10-6, although you've given us a caveat as well, just in case England don't win.
Exactly.
Enjoy the rest of your holiday, and the best of luck in Rome in the summer.
Thank you very much. Big summer ahead, so I'm looking forward to it.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
Running an online business is hard enough without the stress and time consumption of managing hosting. Whether managing one WordPress site or dozens, Kinsta's managed solutions offer speed, enterprise-grade security, and an intuitive dashboard. With 24/7, 365 human-only expert support, get peace of mind that your sites stay online, secure, and performing their best. Start today and get your first month free with migrations handled for you. Learn more at kinsta.com/podcast. That's KINSTA.com/podcast.